Hi friends, thank you very much for clicking ABC Learning English Solution. Friends, today on this podcast, we are gonna discuss about clause. My dear friends, clause is one of the most important section of English grammar and we should know it very clearly. My dear friends, these are the smallest unit of English language. A, B, C. These are the smallest unit. Sometimes only one unit, these units are called letters. Sometimes one letter or one unit can convey a meaning, can convey a particular meaning. Just like this one, this letter represent this meaning, one. Sometimes many letters are placed together and conveys a particular meaning or sense. In this way, suppose this one C-A-T, cat, and these are called words. And my dear friends, these words are placed according to the system. Whenever these words are placed according to the system, just like this one, subject, verb and object. This is the basic structure of English language. Whenever these group of words are placed according to the structure, and obviously it gives us a particular sense, at that time it is called a sentence. We all know it. Just like this one, I have a cat. In this way it became a sentence. This group of words became a sentence. Now my dear friends, we'll think about some group of words today. These group of words help us to complete the sense of a sentence, or sometimes these group of words entirely give us a meaning, just like this one. Here, my dear friends, you can see I have written two sentences. Look at this sentence. This is the subject of this sentence. No, this is the verb of this sentence, and his address, this is the object of this sentence. And here I have written this is the subject of this sentence. No, verb, and this is the object of this sentence. If you think about, my dear friends, these two sentences carefully, you can see this is the subject, this is the verb, and this is the object. This is the basic structure of English language. And here we have used one group of words as an object. Here also we have used one group of words. Now what's the difference between this group of words? It's clear. This one is a group of word and this is also a group of word, and this entire group of words jointly working as a part of speech of the sentence. Part of speech of the sentence. My dear friends, as it is an object, so obviously it has to be a noun or pronoun. This is also the same, but it's not a pronoun, so obviously it's a noun. It is also a noun. But my dear friends, these are group of words acting as a noun. Here, look at this part. There is no such subject or verb. But here you can see there is the existence of subject and a verb. But here you cannot see the subject and verb. Verb means it is finite verb. Better to say finite verb. Now friends, this group of words where there is no such subject and finite verb. Here there is no subject and no finite verb, that is why it is called phrase. As it is used as a noun, so it will be called as noun phrase. My dear friends, There is a detailed video on phrase in our channel, and you can get the link in the I button. My dear friends, here you can see there are the subjects and the finite verb. So in this group of word, there is the existence of a subject and a finite verb. So this group of words is called a clause. Now my dear friends, this clause, today we will focus on this part. So my dear friends, a clause must be a group of words. That means a single word, this one, or no, this one, this single word cannot be a clause. A clause must be contain more than one words. Now the fact is that we get this is a clause. So in this sentence there is another part. Here you can see there is the existence of subject and also there is the existence of verb. So this part is also a clause. A clause means there must be a subject and must be a finite verb. So this part is also a clause, this part is also a clause. My dear friends, this is also a clause. My dear friends, if this clause conveys the complete sense, that means the meaning of this sentence can be fulfilled by using those words only, at that time it will be called principal clause, or you can say the main clause, or you can say the independent clause. That means this part where there is only the subject and finite verb, or there may be object or not, that's not the important thing. We will consider whether there is a subject or there is a finite verb, and if it has an individual meaning, at that time it will be called as principal clause or main clause or independent clause. That means the meaning of this group of words are independent, they are not dependent upon some others. But here in this group of words you can see, if we only write down where he lives, this part cannot give us a particular meaning. That means this part is dependent upon this one. If we write down I know where he lives, at that time this part is meaningful, or this part can give us complete sense. But if we do not take the help of this part is not clear to us, or the meaning of this part is not clear to us, even though these are subject, verbs, or the group of words, these are meaningful, but it cannot convey the particular meaning. My dear friends, this part is called dependent clause. This part is called dependent. That means this part is dependent upon the principal clause. My dear friends, I think this is clear to you. My dear friends, in dependent clause, always you can see these types of words, WH words, or you can see that. These are basically relative pronouns, relative adverbs. So my dear friends, with the help of the relative pronouns or relative adverbs, we can form the dependent clause, or we can form the subordinate clause. This part is also called subordinate clause. Subordinate clause or dependent clause, and this part is called principal clause. My dear friends, here I have written I know the boy. My dear friends, this is the subject, this is the verb, and this is the object of this sentence. So here you can see I have used only one noun here, that is the boy, or only the boy. This word, this is a noun. But my dear friends, if we write down, so we got subject, then verb, then object. So this part is a principal clause. My dear friends, you can see the principal clause can convey a complete sense. Here we have used the subject and there is the finite verb and object. There may be object or maybe not. But here there is object, so these entire group of words will be called as principal clause. Now a sentence must be a principal clause. Whenever we write down a sentence, any kind of sentence, I play football, it is a sentence. My dear friends, it's a principal clause, because the principal clause conveys the complete sense. But think about this one. If we write down in this way, I know the boy who reads in class 4. Look at this sentence, who reads in class 4. Here we have just expanded the sentences. Actually, my dear friends, the clauses, or better to say the subordinate clauses, help to extend the sentence. Here we have done the same things. In a sentence there may be one principal clause, there may be more than one principal clause. In a sentence there may be one principal clause or more than one subordinate clauses. Actually these clauses are used to extend the sentences, to enlarge the sentences. Here we did the same thing. So this part is principal clause. I know the boy, so I is the subject, this is the finite verb, so this is the principal clause. And my dear friends, you can look at this part, who reads in class 4. This is a group of word. There is who, you know, it may be used as a subject, and reads, this is the finite verb, so this is also a clause. But this part is dependent, because it cannot give us a complete sense, so it is called a subordinate clause, or you can say a dependent clause. Actually the principal clause always help the dependent clause to complete their sense. This is the duty of the principal clause. Principal clause individually they can fulfill the entire sense, but sometimes they help the subordinate clause to fulfill the meaning of this sentence, the entire sentence. This is entirely a sentence divided into two clauses. So here, my dear friends, if we jointly go through these two sentences, two clauses, then we can get a complete sense. I know the boy who reads in class 4. So this part, who reads in class 4, you can see this part is saying something about this boy only. If we go through the entire sentence from this part, who reads in class 4, that means it gives us the sense of this boy. We are saying something about this boy. I know this boy. Which boy? The boy who reads in class 4. This clause is saying something special about this boy. Or you can say this group of words are changing the meaning of this boy, adding something to the meaning of this boy. So, you know, my dear friends, boy is a noun, and the other words which are saying something about the noun, these are called adjective. So here this entire clause is behaving like an adjective, so it will be called adjective clause. So it will be called adjective clause. My dear friends, this subordinate clause, this part is principal clause, it's clear. And in this part, subordinate clause may act like a noun. Subordinate clause may act like an adjective. Subordinate clause may act like an adverb. Whenever these group of words, whenever a subordinate clause acts like a noun, it will call noun clause. Whenever this group of words act like an adjective, it is called adjective clause. And whenever it acts like an adverb, at that time it is called adverb clause. Actually, these three group of words are very much important, and it's a vast thing. We'll discuss it separately. Dear friends, we have to know some other clause which is called coordinating clause. Actually, my dear friends, clause is divided into three parts. One is called principal clause, another one is called subordinate clause, And there is another type which is called coordinating clause. Coordinating clause. So my dear friends, you got principal clause and also you got subordinate clause. And coordinate clause, actually my dear friends, sometimes we write down I played football and then took rest for some time. Here my dear friends, you can see in this sentence I played football. There is the subject, there is finite verb and there is object. So this part is a principal clause. There is no such problem because there is the subject, there is the verb. So it's a principal clause. And in this part you can see there is the verb. This is also a finite verb and the subject is common for both of these sentences. Here there is a conjunction and after that it is also a sentence. It is I, here actually the subject is I. But in our sentence, if the subject is same for these two sentences, at that time we use the subject once, not twice. Actual the sentence is I played football, another sentence is I took rest. And we are joining these two sentences by this conjunction. This is a conjunction. And write down in this way. And as the subject is same for these two sentences, we do not write down twice. These types of sentences are called, my dear friends, coordinating clause. Actually, this is a compound sentence. It is called a compound sentence. Compound sentence means there must be more than one principal clause. Normally, we can see two principal clauses. Here, you can see two principal clauses. One is I played football, another one is I took rest. These types of clauses are called, my dear friends, coordinating clause. And you can see in coordinating clause, always we use these types of conjunction. These conjunctions are called coordinating conjunctions. My dear friends, I am just going to write down one acronym. You can see FANBOYS, fanboys. F for, A for and, N for nor, B for but, O for or, Y for yet, and S for, you can say, so. My dear friends, these are basically coordinating conjunctions. And whenever we write down these type of compound sentences, we use coordinating conjunctions. For memorizing the coordinating conjunctions, you can remember these acronym, fanboys. And my dear friends, one thing I should mention here, you can see, my dear friends, neither, nor, either, or, these types of words are called also conjunctions. Only one is written here, nor, or. My dear friends, in coordinating clauses, you can see these types of conjunctions. In this way, these types of sentences are formed. But here, one thing I should inform you, my dear friends, the same group of words, this is very important, the same group of words can be used in different parts of speech. That means, I mean to say, the same group of word can be used as a noun clause, as an adjective clause, or as an adverb clause. That's why it's very important to know the group of words, in which way these group of words are behaving. This is the most important thing. I'm just going to give you one example. I'm writing down here a sentence. I know where he lives. Look at this sentence. Where he lives. If we write down, I know his address, that will be a noun phrase. But here, my dear friends, think about this one. This is the subject. This is the verb. So, this part is having, this is a finite verb. Though this part is having a complete sense, so it's a principal clause. So it's a principal clause. And the next part, where he lives, here there is the subject, there is the finite verb. So obviously this is also a clause, but this part is dependent upon this one. So it is called subordinating clause or dependent clause. But look at this sentence, my dear friends. I know where he lives. If we think about the entire group of words, suppose this is the main verb and I am asking, what do I know? Asking by what? So the answer is this part, where he lives. So this entire part is the object of this finite verb. So entirely using as an object, so it is obviously a noun. As it is a clause, it is a noun clause. So this part, this group of words, where he lives, here it is a noun clause. But my dear friends, if we write down in this way, I know the place where he lives. Look at this sentence. I know the place. This is the principal clause. Where he lives. This is the subordinate clause. Now, my dear friends, here this is the subject, this is the verb, and this is the object. The place is the object. And these group of words saying something about this place. So it's a noun, and this part is saying something about the noun. So obviously it's an adjective. As it is a clause, it will be called as adjective clause. So the same group of words, here it is used as adjective clause in this sentence, here it is used as noun clause. Again I am giving you another example. Let's look at this. I will go where he lives. If you think about this sentence, this is the subject, this is the verb. So subject and finite verb, that means this part is the principal clause, and where he lives, this is the subordinate clause. Look at this sentence. I will go where he lives. So this part, this entire part is saying something about go. It is a verb. My dear friends, where he lives, here it means, obviously it's a name of a place. It will be a place or address. This type of sense is given by this group of words, and this person is saying, I will go to this address. That means this group of words is saying something about the verb go. And you know, my dear friends, the adverb always give you some extra meaning, or the adverbs always qualify or modify the verbs. Basically, they qualify or modify the verb. They can qualify the adjective or the other adverb in the sentence, but most of the time the adverb modifies the verb. So here the same group of words is saying something about this going or this verb. So this is an adverb clause. So the same group of words is being used as adverb clause, adjective clause, and noun clause. Actually, my dear friends, we have to think in which way this group of words are being used. Here it is used as a noun, it is used as an adjective, here it is used as an adverb. Now, my dear friends, I am just going to give you one trick which will help you to find out whether it is noun clause, whether it is adjective clause, or whether it is adverbial clause. In a sentence, there may be one clause, there may be more than one clause. But the fact is that if you are asked how many clauses are there, we have to count only the finite verbs. If in a clause there is one finite verb, so we can say there is only one clause, and that clause must be a principal clause. If there are two verbs, two finite verbs, you can say there are two clauses. If there are three finite verbs. You can see there are three clauses. So we have to only find out the finite verb in the sentence, and it can help you to know how many clauses are there in that sentences. My dear friends, we have to find out whether the group of words are used as a noun or as an adjective or as an adverb. It is the most important thing. We have to find it out. My dear friends, it is easy to find out the verb in a sentence. It's very easy. Now, if we ask the verb by who, the answer will be the subject. We all know it. And if we ask the verb by whom, the answer will be the object of the sentence. It's clear. By asking whom, we are getting an answer, and this answer is a group of words having subject and finite verb. At that time it will be called a noun clause, because the object or the subject may be the noun or pronoun, but there is no such pronoun here, or there is no such existence of pronoun clause in this language. So obviously it will be a noun clause. Here it is just a word, but if we write down a clause, that will be a noun clause. Now my dear friends, if we ask the verb by what kind of, the answer will be the adjective. And if we ask the verb by these types of words, where, when, how often, how many, in this way, so many WH words are there, except who or sometime what. Here also who or sometime what. So for asking who, by asking who we can get the subject, by asking whom we can get the object, by asking what kind of we can get the adjective, and rest of the WH words are used to find out the adverb. It is the basic trick to find out whether the clause is an adverbial clause or is an adjective clause or is a noun clause. My dear friends, I think this section is clear to you. In the next video, in the next podcast, we will discuss about the noun clause separately, because the dependent clause, these are very important for making the sentences, and these dependent clause are divided into three parts: noun clause, adjective clause, and adverbial clause. And these are very vast thing, so we have to discuss separately. So in the next video, we will discuss about noun clause. So my dear friends, thank you very much for watching this video. Thank you.